Welcome, everybody, to the show. Joining us this evening is the eminent Kilroy of KilRoyWasHere. Go check his channel out if you haven't already. And my illustrious co-host, McFisto. So, and we're here to talk about book war games. So I think I'm probably going to shut up other than maybe make fun of Mike Lambo's name some more.
Well, I was going to say, do they make monster book war games, Art?
I'm waiting for some. I think maybe that's the thing that Carl Parody is working on. I have heard a rumor that he is working on a book war game. I think I heard that too from some Canadians that I was talking to. That's what I
just heard it.
Yeah.
Really?
Just very recently, yeah.
Yeah.
That prick. Anyways, Rob, I got something to ask you.
Yeah.
In Holdout.
That's the one. That's the Bruce Campbell one, right?
And you know what?
I loved him in Evil Dead.
$5, man.
$5.
$5.
So now, in Holdout, do you play the Holdout, the lone Japanese guy hiding out in the jungle?
Yeah, you play the lone Japanese, and your goal is you see how long you can hold out.
Don't die of dysentery.
Don't die of dysentery
or starvation.
I mean, my first scenario is my guy dies, right? So I'm alone. Anyways, I show up and I'm on a fishing pier and there's 3 kids. So my options are kill them or do something else. And it's like, I don't want to kill kids.
Oh, you kidnap them and recruit them as guerrilla fighters. Is that an option? That should be an option.
No,
I'm just trying to think of narrative, narrative pass through the.
No, I know. And Rob, how much supplies do you start off with?
I'd have to look.
It's pissing me off because I have to stop the game because it's like how many supplies they say deduce the supplies or roll a d6, deduce the supplies. I go, what supplies? I don't have any supplies.
That sounds like there's a table.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that.
Not for supplies, man.
Well, and the edition that came out first, I think I got one of the earlier editions. It didn't have some of the charts in it or some of the character where you keep track of some stuff. So
all right, so let me ask some real basic questions because I want to know, and there probably is people scratching their heads watching this video right now. So this is a game called Holdout. It's by Bruce Campbell, Brent Campbell, same thing. And it's
Combat Board Games.
Combat Board Games.
Yeah, that's his
got
YouTube
it, baby.
Channel.
Okay, and okay, so he's got a YouTube channel. So go check that out. And you can get this game where?
Amazon.
Okay.
$5.
Okay, so pretty cheap too. So does it qualify for Prime shipping?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay then.
And it's based on, it's called a D66 Game Book. It's based on Adam Mitchell's series, which he's
Adam Mitchell is of course well known for his D66 game books.
Yes, and so and this actually, he worked with him. Brent worked with Adam, or Adam worked with him to kind of develop it. So it uses the same system as his D66 game systems. Of course, he's got a D88. Adam came out with the D88 just to mess with us. So
hey, have you played those Adam Mitchell games?
Yeah, this one is actually this one is probably the most in depth of any of them. It's kind of weird. You're a sole SAS soldier. You're on a mission to take out a cartel in Colombia, and you get separated from your team, and you've got to find your way to the landing zone.
And then the Predator shows up, right?
Pretty much. Well, I haven't got to that. I haven't got to
the part where the Predator shows up.
The interesting thing about these books, they're basically, it's a choose your own adventure book, but instead of having a truncated path, or having this path where it branches out like a tree, you roll dice, and you roll like the D66 is you roll. It's like the old Avalon Hill. A lot of the old Avalon Hill games. Some of those games had where you read one dice over the other dice, so you have anywhere from 11 to 66.
Traveler uses this a lot.
Yeah, and so basically you roll. You have, there's combat. There's keeping track of supplies. Of course, Dan can't figure out what his supplies are. And then but when you come to a decision point, you roll the dice, and there might be different rolls that you have to do, but generally you roll a dice and it's going to take you off on a path. So the neat thing about them is that, like with the choose your own adventure, there's a solution, right? I mean, you can eventually find the optimal path and get to the end that you want to get to, and what's the point of reading it again, right? These have a lot more replayability because you're rolling dice, and it's kind of the fog of war or chaos, so it's taking you off in different directions.
These sound to me to be maybe structurally similar to the old Barbarian Prince game from Dwarf Star.
Yeah, but with less upkeep. The Barbarian Prince, of course, you had to print.
There was actually a lot of tracks and stuff like that.
Yeah, you had to keep track of stuff and everything.
The Barbarian Prince, wasn't it an Ares magazine game?
No, it was not from SPI. It was Dwarf Star, which I think was part of Heritage or got bought by Heritage or something like that.
So what am I thinking of? Barbarian what?
There was a game called Barbarian Kings, which I think was the SPI game that you're
thinking of. SPI.
Barbarian Prince was a solitaire game, and you're the Barbarian Prince, and your father, the Barbarian King, has just been murdered by some mercenaries, and you have like X number of days to wander around in the sort of wilderness with random events and stuff to accumulate so much money so that you can go and hire a mercenary army to go and overthrow this guy.
Yeah, and that one you can actually, I mean, I don't know if it's still available, but I don't know, 6-7 years ago, it was like you could find it on a PDF.
Last I checked, there's print and play versions available. Yeah. Whoever the current rights owner is has kind of made it available. And there was a sci-fi
something merchant, smugglers, or I can't remember.
Yeah, there was that too. Barbarian King.
Am I mixing it up? I think Barbarian Kings is the Greg Kostikian one.
Yeah, and you know what? When Worthington came out with the first book, Bismarck, I was excited. I was excited because it's low complexity, this and this and that, something I could get into.
That's a great topic to do a low complexity game on too, to be honest about it, and a great topic for a solitaire game.
And the thing is, I don't have to call you. I don't have to call Rob, everybody else, and say what's going on. What's going on?
Unless you got to find out how many supplies you have.
You have to tell me that, Rob, by the way, yeah? Because I'm stumped. And anyways, the thing is that I actually called Worthington Publishing. What's his name? The owner, for God's sakes. Grant. And I said, man, you're starting something. Something. Now, did he start something because he's Worthington, or was Mike Lambo already happening?
That's a good question. I was first made aware of the Worthington products, but Matt Rambo might have been doing this for years, for all I know.
Well, I mean, these go back. I mean, actually, technically, if you want to look at it, like Sandhurst Book of Wargames came out like in '82. That was a book that had war games in it. Now, there was some assembly required. You had to pull out stuff. But then after that, probably the next one that came along in this series, and I'm not talking about choose your own adventure stuff. That's a whole different line that kind of fits in here. But the next one's probably Minden Games. Minden has a whole series of book war games that are, they're not completely self-contained. A lot of them you really do need to construct some counters or print or make a copy of something. But they've been around for a while before Worthington or Lambo. And then I think Worthington might have been first to press recently, and then Lambo is following right along. But there's a lot of other people other than Lambo that's getting in on this. I mean, you've got Kirkpatrick.
How was that game? Because Cal Paradis sunk it.
Yeah, this one is.
I'm sure Carl's book game is going to be much better.
It's going to be.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
This one to me is kind of like a very, very, very one more very simplified version of B-17 Queen of the Skies. It really reduced a lot of it down to almost not quite a roll and write, but they kind of really simplified it to it's okay, but you probably there's other stuff out there that's probably got more depth
because B-17 is not that difficult, man.
Not really, no.
No, but they took out a lot of the charts and stuff. There's only like 4 or 5 charts, and there's not a lot of stuff you're keeping track of. But it's meant to kind of give you the experience, but not spend as much time.
It's like getting called up to the big leagues right here.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? Did he say anything about me? That SOB?
I haven't watched. It's like an hour and a half. I haven't had a
what
chance
the hell's
to
he
watch.
talking to you? What's he talking to you about?
I don't know. I wasn't there. Maybe he's talking about
sake.
why I wasn't there. So that
son
of a bitch, he was supposed to be here.
Rob, what about his Spitfire game? The same guy's Spitfire game.
It's basically the same. It's basically the same. It's just that the B-17 you're a bomber, and the Spitfire you're a defender. You're the RAF.
Is it worth the $20?
I'd go Lambo before I go these. You know,
Okay.
I mean, I collect everything and I kind of try it out. And I mean, everything has a place in my.
And he does collect everything.
Sometimes the place is in the wastebasket.
Well, but the good news here is this takes up the least amount of room of anything in my game collection. So that's another reason why I like these. I can just put them on a shelf.
That's like the same amount of space that my ASL Russians takes up. So.
Oh man!
So do these kinds of things structurally resemble something like an ambush? Maybe.
No, they well a little bit. I mean, the Lambo games are what I kind of consider. Let's get one out here.
I thought that said the Fists of Normandy for a second.
That's the ghost.
We're gonna get at least 3 weeks of mileage out of this book. So tip your waitress.
We're gonna put those together. I mean, these these are closest to other than like the Minden games, but these are the closest to like a hex encounter war game. Not all of them have hex encounters. Not all of them, have hexes. I mean, some of them use grids, but they're kind of meant to be something where you have a map, and then you're supposed to mark on this. Of course, I never mark on anything, but a lot of people are taking these and they're making their own counters, or they're using minis, or they're using cubes or whatever. And then this is your ambush side of it, already, in that this is your AI. And they generally have like an order system. Like there's the orders that the AI will do, and then there's orders that you can do to move your troops around or to move your units, depending on what the case is. And so a lot of these they're not all the same, but a lot of them use that kind of same engine where there's the AI orders, and then there's the map on the other side. And there's just multiple copies. There's just multiple battles, with different AI and then different maps.
Bobby, answer the question.
Are these available digitally?
I don't know. I think I've got them all. I've got them all through Amazon. I don't know if they're at like at the War Game Vault or something like that. I know Minden games are at the War Game Vault. I don't know. I don't know if they're.
It seems you're getting more for your money with the Lambo games than the Minden games.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, the Minden games are a little bit more old school, so they're a little bit more.
It's Gary Graber.
Yeah, they're not as refined as these are.
Isn't Gary Glitter still in prison?
Graber.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Gary Glitter was McFistel.
And not in a fun way or a consensual way.
They're a little bit more refined of taking a war game and then converting it into a solo book. I mean, the Minden games are fine. I mean, there's some
yes.
There's a couple of the Minden games like Great Salvo War that I really enjoy. It's everything I'd want in a solo game. It's easy. You can throw it down. You can play it on the plane. I actually took it when I went out to West Point earlier this summer. That's what I took with me to play on the plane.
So, Bobby, answer the question here that John Longshore has.
I'm not seeing a question.
A statement.
No, it's John. These are book games. So these are. It's a book that is a game, or it's a game that's a book. And so there's different. The Lambo games really, you don't have to assemble them or make the counters, but a lot of people take them and then they make counters and stuff that they can move on the map. They're meant to be right in the book. You write and you can write in a race, or put plexiglass on it and use a marker, whatever you want to do. But they're meant to be consumed. You can write them and then play them several times, and then the publisher, I imagine, would love for you to buy more.
In a way, these feel super old-fashioned to me. Actually,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is that they're actually bringing back for me that excitement when I was like 15, 16, 17 years old, and I would go to my local downtown
That's the
Montreal.
last time you were excited, Dan?
Whatever. Downtown Montreal. No, look, Mephisto. I would go downtown Montreal to Le Valet-Cœur, the Jack of Hearts, always the same store, and I would buy a Steve Jackson game for like $2.95 or something like that. This is what it's reminding me of, man.
To me, it's reminding me of the old D&D modules with the highlighter, where you have like the invisible ink and you would like highlight the paragraphs with a special pen. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Blizzard Pass and something about a magic minotaur was the other one.
Yeah. Jesus, I know that.
Blizzard Pass is not well regarded adventure nowadays. I can tell you that.
Are there any roll and write publishing in book format like this?
Yeah, there are.
I don't even know what he's saying, Mike.
So
roll and write is a mechanic that I've heard of, but have never played a game like that.
So that's a mechanic that's really hot now in the Euro/hobby wargaming thing, where you roll the dice and it's usually multiple players and several people are marking something off on a page. Whatever the dice are rolled, you're either using some of the dice, or you're combining some of the stuff from the dice, but then you're marking off your own board to come to a goal, or win the game. And those are kind of the roll and write. I mean, that's the basics of it. Then there's all kinds of different themes. There's different ways you can use the dice and all that kind of stuff.
Suspiciously like bingo.
Exactly.
Hey, man, those books you got there, Bobby, they're pretty thick, man.
Yeah, well, that's the deceptive thing about these. So, for example, this was the first one. Noah Patterson is the guy who does these, and he's got a whole line of RPG, simple print, not thick bound stuff.
Look at the size of that.
RPG games. I think they're solo, but they're like RPG books. But yeah, it's deceptive because it's multiple copies of the same page. This one is because it's a roll and write, so you're supposed to write in it and go to the next page and write in it till you get done. It's almost like Sudoku, you just keep writing until you're done. But this one is kind of a roll and write. It's kind of in that vein. This one is his second offering in the war game space is more of a roll and write, hence the title Roll for Omaha. And so what you're doing here is you're rolling, and you're taking, this is the Omaha Beach, and you're on one of the tracks of the Omaha Beach, either the dog green or dog white or dog red or easy green, and you're trying to advance up to the Germans. And you're rolling, and then there's actually combat charts. I mean, there's CRTs on here that you're using to do combat, but it's basically war game Yahtzee somewhat, that you're rolling and then making decisions based on that, and then going off the charts. So there are some pure, and this one is you're basically rolling, and it's determining your terrain. You're a tank, and so you're determining your terrain. And then
is it worth it? That one is that one worth the money?
I mean, I think these are about the same price as Lambo.
Yeah, they're about $20. $20 Canadian.
So that particular one is available in hardcover apparently for $30, or soft cover for $13. $13 seems like a pretty reasonable price, even if you only played through it maybe twice.
Yeah, I would probably try to get it under 15 on some of these. I mean,
look,
again,
I get it for 20 Canadian.
It's
well, that's like $4.
It's what you want. I mean, these definitely are a grade down from the the B-17 Kirkpatrick stuff, which are really, really simple war games. These are even simpler than that, because these are just pure roll and writes. But I mean, it's what you're looking for. If you want to have somewhat of a war game experience, then you're probably going to want to advance up to the Lambo or the Worthington.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. Now the Worthington stuff. The Bismarck is unique. It was the first one. That's more of a search and find type thing.
Right.
And it's got a neat mechanism on how it does the AI, because it's basically just checking zones and seeing if you're in the zone. So it's a neat way of how they did AI. AutoZone. It's a neat way how they do the AI. These are the other ones in the series.
Freedom!
except for the scared the daylights out of me. Except for the latest one.
If I'd have known we were going here, I'd have painted myself blue for this show.
These are basically our playoff of their what I call static war games. You know, they have the Freeman's Farm and Chancellorsville, which all the the units are kind of set where they were set during that battle, and then you don't move the units a whole lot in those games. These are kind of like that as well, where you're just marking off. There's an AI on these at the top. You're going to roll and see what the AI is going to do, what your opponent's going to do, and then you have orders, and sometimes you're limited. You can't do the same thing multiple times, but then you have orders down below, and then there's usually a combat roll, and you're trying to eliminate some of theirs, and you just mark them off, and they're eliminating your units, and they're marking it off. And then different scenarios have different victory conditions. Either you're trying to do a breakthrough or whatever.
Are the formations always the same?
Yeah, this is static. That's why I call them static. These are always there, but you're kind of artificially moving them by doing combat, by marking stuff off. That's where you do the combat. So again, it's somewhat similar to Freeman's Farm and Chancellorsville. Oh, those are the two I have from Worthington. Good games, but and then there's multiple battles that you can do in there, and they have different. They have different difficulty levels. So you're getting some replayability, and of course I don't mark off anything. I make copies. I'll make a copy of it.
Bobby, is Carl is he raining on our parade?
It seems like we're gaming.
Is he raining on our parade?
Well, that's this game right here. If you guys want Wargame Accounting, that's this game from Minden Games. That's all this is. You're doing logistical
solitaire logistics game.
It's logistics. I mean, this is the killer of this one.
If I wasn't moving tomorrow, I would order that right now.
Oh my God. This is
that sounds amazing.
Well, you have to survive. Let me see. How many turns do you play this game?
It's like
keeping
score at the bowling alley.
There's your turn track. I probably can't see it very good there. I think you play 300 turns. You play 300 turns.
Wow. That sounds epic.
So it's a campaign.
300 turns of logistical math.
Look, it's a campaign. It's a it's a monster war game book.
It's all logistics. It's all you roll on charts. You see if you got supplies. You see if you lost people. Rinse, repeat 300 times.
That's a bit much.
Well,
there's your tables.
It was a long and grueling campaign. So there you go. It's an accurate simulation of that.
Yeah, I think that what they were trying to go for, they weren't trying to go for what it felt like during it. They were trying to what it felt like after it. Like once you get done with this game, you're like, okay, all right, I think I know how those guys feel.
And how Bob, how far can we go with these games in terms of how far can we go with these games?
Well, I mean, I think the Lambo ones are the ones that probably show it best. I mean, they're taking all kinds of different war game scenarios. They've got Vietnam, they've got medieval. I think the one that's just coming out now, which it should be in the mail for me, is the English Civil War. They have this is hostage rescue, where it's a tactical. To me, this is reminiscent of like the DVG's Warfighter. Where you're going in and trying to do a very tactical mission type.
I gotta tell you, with all due respect to Matt Rambo, when I look at that and just glance at the cover, I think it's a 50 Shades thing.
That might be. Well, if what we need to do is we need to get Adam Mitchell to work on this, because he puts actually ethical dilemmas in his games. He put some stuff in his game where you do you want to just finish your mission, like in that new one, that MIA? Do you just want to finish your mission, or do you want to go save these people? And so there's some kind of ethical dilemmas that you do in there.
David, it's funny that you say that, because Brent Campbell wrote back to me and he thanked me for showing it his holdout book on No Enemies Here, and I said, and I don't know, I must have been drunk or something, and I said, why don't you make a game about a Bersaglieri in the North African desert fighting, and I said, but you have to add in the pasta water for the pasta, that's for sure. And he wrote back and he said, let me think about it. So that's why I asked you about how far can we go with this?
Well, I mean, take any war game or well, first of all, the topics are unlimited because there's as many topics as there are war games, right? And as history. And all they're doing is they're just taking basic war game concepts and they're reducing it to a book where that you either write in the book or you can make some counters and use the counters in the book. So it's just a reduced, it's like a pocket board game, you know, is what they're doing.
It's Combat the Series. You could do anything. You can have a romantic encounter. You know what I'm saying?
Those are more in line with the D66 or the modified Choose Your Own Adventure.
Right. That's what I was saying.
These all here are just war games in a book. And so, and for example, like this one, by Patrick Riel, this is the only one I've seen from him, but this is a relatively detailed ironclad, Civil War ironclads simulation. I mean, it's got several different, there's a lot of history in here. There's a lot of background. There's several scenarios. They have a training mission, so they kind of train you up on it. But this is a relatively interesting simulation. I mean, it wouldn't take much to put this into, you know, a bagged board game or a boxed board game if you just add a little bit more, you know, counters and fluff on it. But I mean, that's what they're doing. They're just taking war games and they're reducing it to its simplest form and putting it in a book.
You know, these are simple, well, simplish, because that one you just showed me looked a little bit more detailed. But these are simple books that get people into war games, man.
If they succeed at that, then I'm all for it.
Well, where else can you go? Where else can you go if you want more realistic action, man?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of pathways into wargaming from like the game's standpoint. This is just as viable as anything else. The interesting thing here is that these things, and I'm kind of exploring this topic as I talk here, so if I sound like an idiot at any point, that's why. These are solitaire exercises, right, that are available through a purchase path that is not where one typically finds war games, right? Through an online digital retailer like Wargames or through Amazon, right? Amazon is a shit place to buy war games if they're not from, at least if they're not from GMT. So that's like, I don't even check Amazon for war games, to be honest about it. And while Wargame Vault has a lot of stuff, a lot of it's things like, you know, templates for little houses that you'd put in a miniatures game or something like that. There is some board wargaming stuff there, but it's just kind of starting to make an appearance as opposed to being an integral part of that platform. So this is kind of an avenue outside the publication realm of, you know, so-and-so has published a war game that's super easy for new war gamers, right? I mean, we've got tons of those. There's like a whole line of games like that from multiple publishers. Where this is actually kind of, if that's the goal here, and I'm all for it if it is, it seems like the acquisition path is different, and that might be actually more valuable. But I'm curious as to what somebody that randomly orders Omaha Beach 1944 on Amazon and says, "This is awesome. Where can I get more of this?" I'm curious as to what the next step into the hobby might be, right? Beyond just buying more of those things.
Well, I also think that there is a potential for, you know, being, you know, disillusioned too. I mean, you might pick up one of these books and go, golly, what is this? I was looking for a Choose Your Own Adventure, or I was looking for that one that had that one cover you liked, Artie, about 50 Shades of Gray. But and what's all this? This looks complicated, you know, even though they're not really that complicated.
Well, you know, one person's complicated is another person's, oh my God, I can't believe this is so simple, right? I mean, there's people that consider Monopoly to be a very complicated game and Risk to be absolutely unplayable because it's so complicated.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they're right. I'm saying there's people that will take that position just because
Right.
maybe they're just people that don't play a lot of board games, and that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, you got to start somewhere too, right?
The other thing, let me ask Christopher your question. I've got all these off of well, except even the Minden ones. I got them all off Amazon. So you can do some search on Amazon. That's I think that's exclusively where the Worthington titles are at. I don't know if you can get them anywhere else, but all the Lambo stuff. I mean, all these I got off of all from here over. I got off Amazon.
Now I'm wondering if that stuff's all POD.
You know what, Trevor?
I suspect it might
if
be.
you would have shown up earlier, you would have known what the hell we said that before. Okay, so why don't you just shut up?
Dan's getting belligerent again.
The other thing too. I mean,
he's the angriest man in Canada.
He's got reason to be. This is kind of an interesting space. You were talking earlier about how this came about. I mean, as I said, there's been games like the Choose Your Own Adventure has been out there. There's been games, war games in books, you know, going back to the 80s. You know, Minden's been doing it in the 90s, or the 2000s. But I think the reason why this kind of came about is kind of a combination of, one, the supply chain, because I think Worthington was really going to do some of these as a box game, because it does look like it fits into their, you know, their static war game system, but the supply chain was getting kind of clogged, and so they decided, well, let's reduce it and put it in a book. At the same time, you know, we're still on the edge of COVID. And during COVID, a lot of people went solo, right? I mean, the solo picked up. It was already moving that. Solo's already been around. I don't want to get in that debate, but it was picked up a lot of steam, I think, over the last couple of years. So much so that you see major publishers having whole units of their publishing or development, you know, dedicated to coming up with solo friendly or solo bots for games. You have whole game companies that's pretty much all they do, you know, like DBG. So this kind of fits that niche too. It's portable and it's solo and it's affordable, right? I mean, you can pick it up and get at it.
Look, I think because I'm a brainless twit, and I want to relive my youth because I'm gonna probably die soon. It's making me relive my past, and I'm just having a good time not even playing them. I'm just having a good time having them because I'm gonna play them as soon as you tell me what my supply is for that. For God's sakes, man!
Brent might be on here. Let's see if Brent's on here. So,
God damn! Like, he tells me to roll and minus your supply. Well, where's the supply? I'm
fill
sure
it
it's
in
here somewhere, but I can't reread what I read.
I tell you what, if you play that Leningrad game, you know what your supply is. I
bet you do. I bet there's a whole page just for that.
That's the whole game. Your whole game is what's your supply.
Yeah, you'd have hated Stellar Conquest, Dan.
I actually have Stellar Conquest.
I think I loved Stellar Conquest. And nowadays, I think I'd probably rather play Space Empires, which is a little lighter on the bookkeeping, but
yeah. And the bookkeeping is not too bad there. A lot of people pan that because they get afraid of the bookkeeping. It's not that much. If you played anything in the 80s or 90s, then it's nothing.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
You got to have a pencil. I mean, that's it.
The Italians always say, live another 100 years. This guy gives me 3 to 5.
That's because they're on the Mediterranean diet.
That's Christ.
Got to have more olive oil.
Olive oil's good, man. It makes you regular.
And fish.
And fish, omega-3. So, I loved Stellar Conquest. I always had a hard time getting my teenage friends to play it because then nobody liked it but me. It was because it was super bookkeepy. At the time, we they thought so. I thought it was fine.
So that's what you think, Trevor.
Outreach was a little bookkeepy too, but not quite as much as Stellar Conquest.
My game from that time, or from my youth, that was Conquistadors.
Conquistador, that's fairly bookkeepy.
They had because you had to keep track of all the legs of your shipping and everything.
And Pax Britannica.
Oh yeah,
super bookkeeping actually.
So
I mean, it's not Fed and Empire bookkeeping, but it's comparatively a lot.
Okay, here we got GIMPY CARROLL here. How can you search for these games? He cannot find any of them. What's the matter with this guy? Does he live in California or what?
Well, I would go. I mean, if you go to Amazon and search Worthington Publishing, you know, all their games are on there. That's the only place you can get them. And then just search Mike Lambo for his series of games. He's got like 6 now, and
I've been trying to get in touch with that guy. What's the matter?
Yeah, I would just start with Matt Rambo and start there. He's got a selection.
Yeah, and
actually, this game right here, you call him Matt Rambo. This hostage rescue. That's basically a Rambo
pretty much. That's you got to rescue the hostages from the love dungeon.
Although I do have to question the chains though, because
I'm just saying
there's a lot of different directions these chains
just saying.
can go.
You know, I don't want to be getting in anybody's business between consensual adults. People can. I don't kink shame. You know, whatever Matt Rambo's into. I got nothing to say about it as long as it's all consensual.
That's not a D66. That's a D69.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We just got demonetized.
We got demonetized. That's okay. We're on your channel. We get demonetized all we want.
Hey, is that one a good one?
The hostage is pretty good. It's the first one that's not historical. His other ones all are based on, you know, actual battles or historical situations. That one is just based. It's like Warfighter, right? DVG's Warfighter. You're in different hostage situations, and you got to go in. It's very tactical, and you got to go in and manage your equipment and manage what you're doing and trying to get in stealthy and take people out and rescue hostages. And
it's funny. I'm embarrassed talking about Warfighter and these things in front of Artie because. Artie, it's fun for lay people. You're not a lay
There's
person.
nothing wrong with them. I have never had a bad word to say about Warfighter. So, or really DVG to be for that matter.
That's not what I'm saying.
So, you know, whatever you're into, it's not my business. So, yeah, I mean, I would just. You know, jot some of these names down, like Matt Rambo and Noah Patterson and that other guy, and check on. I did a couple searches on Wargame Vault and didn't find anything, but I guess the Minden Game stuff. That's MINDEN.
Yeah,
who I have heard of. That's apparently available on Wargame Vault too.
He's south of me. He's in Ontario, man.
Yeah, somebody.
You're in Canada. Everyone is south of you.
Yeah, somebody was asking about World War I book games. I mean, this one's very simple, but I really like it. It's the Great War Salvo. There's actually a World War II version of it, but it's not in print anymore. And I talked to Gary, and he's not planning on printing it. This is Minden. This is a really simple system, and you can play a multiplayer, but it's really designed to be solo, and it's really simple. It's real easy to play. As I said, I played this on a plane. I thought it was fine, and you can do multiple ship. It's really made for like ship to ship, but you can do multiple ships. So you can do like a whole, you know, historical battle of like 3 versus 2 or 4 versus 5, whatever you want to do with it.
You know, Gary Graber's latest game. The last game I knew by Gary Graber, I actually ordered it, and it's Stalingrad Solitaire from CPT or CTP or. I'll show it to you.
Yeah, Mike, on your question there, yeah, I don't think it's been released yet. I don't know if it got caught up in the supply thing, but they do have a full fantasy line that's supposed to be coming out.
See, Canvas Temple.
Yeah, Stalingrad Solitaire. That's a Gary Graber game.
Okay, I do remember the Fantasy Warfighter, which I think was exotically called Fantasy Warfighter. So I think.
But
I don't know whether it's out yet. So, or it might be called Warfighter Fantasy instead of, you know, because they got creative that day.
I haven't seen that's out yet.
Okay, I want to see sci-fi Warfighter now too. Why is there no?
I think that's in the works. I think I think they have that in the works.
Why not? You know.
Well, I mean, look, it's a system that's popular.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's a system that's popular, and as a matter of fact,
he's allergic to fisting.
Well, the fact is, I mean, when you sneeze, Gary started wiping his glasses, so I think you got some on him there.
I just interviewed. I'm not pulling a nepotism here, but on my channel, my other channel, the Fokker Circus, the Pipe Circus, the Pipe channel, is that I was speaking to a blender, and he says, and what the hell am I saying? I even forgot what the hell I was saying. And he said something like, the most sold tobaccos are the aromatic tobaccos. Why am I? Oh yeah, because of Warfighter. It's an easy system. People like it, and it's akin to. Forget what I'm saying.
No, Dan.
And it's aromatic.
Dan, I'll tell you why the aromatic tobaccos smell better. Because your wife won't yell at you for smoking them.
Are you kidding, man?
No.
Are you kidding?
Because they smell a lot better than the other types of tobaccos.
No, my wife has a good nose. She says, "Jesus Christ, it smells like chemical cherries."
What are you smoking? The aromatic stuff? Or are you smoking the hardcore stuff?
No, I'm smoking the hardcore stuff.
Well, that's why, because they're pretty stinky. The aromatic tobaccos smell good when you're smoking them. Oh yeah, that's right. You're not allowed to smoke in the house. We've already covered it. So
that hurt my hand. It hurt my hand.
You got to stop fisting. He's on a strict no fisting regimen per his doctor. So
Bob, what do you think? Do you think we're gonna get? Well, obviously we're gonna get a lot more of these, but do you think it's gonna? Do you think it's gonna fill this niche? You know,
I don't. Well, I mean, arguably they already have. I mean, there's probably as many of these titles as there were of those little, pocket games that went out. But I mean, I'm interested to see who else jumps into this, because, as I said, Worthington and Lambeau have multiple titles. They're the only ones out there that have like 5+ titles. But like this Ironclads one with Patrick Real, I mean, that looked interesting. Is that just one that he has in his quiver, or is he going to do more? Who else is going to jump into this? Well, Brent of Combat Board Games, he came out with the Holdout game after, Adam Mitchell came out with his D6 system. And so, I mean, who else? And he wants to plan to do more too. So I think we're going to see more, but these are low budget. I mean, these are almost, these designers are kind of printing them themselves, or they're print on demand. So they have some kind of deal with Amazon to crank these out. They're not high intensity on graphics. It's all getting your sequence and your options down, and there you go.
And you know what? It's $20, man. $20. You want to go to Schenectady from Montreal? Do I know my geography? On a train, you get one of these books.
Yeah,
you're having a blast.
Yeah. To William's comment there. Yeah, that Marco
called Alone Against the Mythos or something like that.
Yeah, well, there's a whole series of solo role playing dungeon crawls called 4 Against Darkness.
Yeah, they say they're not a role playing game though. They say they're a solitaire dungeon crawling game.
Okay,
I've got the first one.
Yeah, but there's a whole line on that, and then what he did is took that system and converted it to Cthulhu. Mm-hmm. There's also a horror version of that. There's a sci-fi version. I think there's a sci-fi. I know there's a horror version of that. So
is he right? Is Trevor just right? And does it matter? For God's sakes, Trevor.
No, I think he's totally right. I mean, at least for some of the examples, right?
Yeah.
I think the Worthington ones are maybe slightly, maybe not. Really, they're kind of rolling rights too, aren't they? So yeah, I think that's true. But why not? Somebody try and experiment with that mechanic in wargaming. There's no reason why it can't work.
Well, the Patterson ones are literally rolling right.
Yeah. So I first of all, let me make a couple observations here. I don't know that this is directly analogous to the mini games of the early 80s. There were a lot of those mini games, right? TSR did a line of mini games. SPI did mini games. Plus there was metagaming, and a couple of task force games did some mini games. So there were a lot of those back in the day, and plus Steve Jackson, which kind of is the only one of those companies that's actually still around. But The price point's probably pretty comparable, though, right? In the $10 to $15 range versus $2 or $3. That's roughly the inflationary markup between now and then. But just from what we've talked about here so far, I can see that there's about 8 to 10 times as many of these things already available as I knew about.
Yeah,
So,
I know. Even me, and I know Kilroy because I'm a coffee junkie, just like this guy. Because this guy's a coffee junkie, man. Because everything he puts out is coffee with Kilroy.
I look forward to being able to make coffee
now,
again.
and I'm having another sip now. Jesus Christ! Does he work, this guy, or what?
I'm going to be making fancy French press frou-frou coffee that I grind myself in my bird grinder.
Man, this guy, he's living the high life, man.
All right, hey, ARDWULF, coffee with ARDWULF. Let's make it happen.
I don't. It's not going to be a regular thing, but maybe I'll get a video out of it once I get all this shit unpacked.
No, but that's Jesus Christ. Now let's talk about price, okay? I know Worthington must have a bigger overhead, okay? Because their games in Canadian are about.
There's maintenance on that shed.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
I'm just saying, they got to pay somebody every year to come out and put termite traps around. And
Worthington are the most expensive out of all these. Worthington are the most.
They're
expensive.
$10 more. $10 more.
$20, $30.
Yeah,
No,
they're well. I think to press they're like, yeah, well they can be over 30. It depends on what the release is. They can be over 30. But I mean, they're the best graphics. They're the most. Presentable or visually appealing.
They don't even suggest BDSM in any way on the covers, for example.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You know, I mean, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
definitely in terms of cover artists.
Artie, people are they want to tip me. What do I do if I have a coffee? Buy me a coffee. Well, how do I set this up?
You got to go to Ko-Fi, K-O-F-I, and set that up, and then you put a little link in the video descriptions.
Okay.
And they can go and you can set the price.
Thank you very much, people. Thank you very much. But it's Robert. Robert is my patron, and he's helping me with all hospital finances in Canada. Even though hospital finances are taken care of by our socialist government. Let's not get into politics, please. Bob, are you getting into these games more and more? Is there a nostalgic feeling, or is this because you're getting old and a bit stupid in your old age, and you wanna dumb down?
You know, I mean, just like
and wait, Bob, is it fair to say dumb down?
Well, I mean, some of these are kind of dumbed down. Some of these are just simplified to put in a book format. So, I mean,
I hate this terminology, by the way.
My whole thing is, if you watched my channel or looked at my collection, I got a lot of games. I got way too many games of war games and non-war games.
And you should do a video of your game shelf, by the way.
Amateurs.
So I like I don't know. Well, that sounds like a challenge.
I want to see this.
No, I don't have that much stuff, but I'm just saying. I have a reputation for having a lot of stuff. I don't think I have.
I think I might top you.
You might very easily.
But but part of it is because I like variety. I'm always like looking at. I mean, and I try to play every game I have. I try to play it multiple times, but I usually don't get on most of my games. I don't get them more than maybe 3 times because I like variety. I like going on to something else, and this fits into that niche of it's relatively inexpensive compared to buying a big war game. It fits on a shelf. I can pull it out, play it, and put it back. There's hardly any setup unless you do your own counters or do your own minis. There's really no setup here. Once you figure out how if you want to mark up these books, which I don't, but if you want to mark them up, there's zero setup here. Just get a pencil, get a die, or whatever the game requires, and have at it. So I like it because of the simplicity and the variety, the simplicity of play, and access to play, not necessarily the simplicity of the games.
Carl, that comment there below. When you get to the big leagues, then talk. Now,
I got about half. I got probably less than half of that. So.
No. We're
So
talking
be my
we're
guess.
talking to Rocky Marciano down here, man. Kilroy was here.
What was
This
Carl?
guy's got a
What did Carl
punch.
have?
Carl
He'll
says
knock your ass
900.
off. Come on.
I don't have. I think I'm just a hair under 400.
Don't laugh, Bobby. Don't laugh.
Yeah,
Don't
I got
take
more
it
than
wrong.
that.
Yeah.
I got more than that in Jim
Come
War
on,
Games.
come on. That guy's he's in California. The air is thinner.
So he can't count, is what you're saying? He's lightheaded.
I don't know what I'm saying.
I'm about 2 games away from a Hoarders episode. So.
Oh boy, it's very well organized behind you, though. I mean, as long as it's organized, who cares how much you got?
No, this is just my library. My War Games are upstairs.
Yeah, that he's actually at work. That's his office at work.
No. This is my home.
That's what you. Yeah, your work is your home. That's what I said.
Was for 2 years.
Jesus Christ! But you know what? Actually, this is a great episode because I wanted to have Grant over, but Grant, I guess he's busy. He's going to send me a couple of games, and something started here with that. And I don't know if it's Grant that kicked it off because he's Worthington. I don't know if it's Mike Lambo, but Mike Lambo's like putting them out like crazy now. And is he redundant?
Well, I think he's got at least 2 on Normandy, but they are different. Actually, he's got 3 on Normandy.
Well, Normandy's a great topic. So
yeah, he's got 3, but one of them is Beaches of the Brave. That does some Japanese landings, landing on Japanese islands as well. So, but he's got a little bit hitting some of the same themes in a small amount of books, but each system is a little bit different. I mean, he does change it up on his systems.
So, and where does this guy come from, Mike Lambo? Who is this guy? Did we freeze or what?
Just nobody knows.
Yeah, no, I'm asking you, Bob. I'm asking you.
Mike Lambo, the man of mystery.
Yeah, who is this guy? Where did he come from?
I never.
Why don't you have him on? Why don't you have him on, Dan?
Because I'm trying to have him on. The guy's
he's a ghost. He's a ghost in the machine.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. You want me to message him?
Yeah, please, would you? Not that I have never done anything for you, but please, would you do me a solid? For God's sake.
I'll message him. I'll tell him
if he doesn't come on, we're going to invent a complete fictionalized biography of him and do an entire episode just about that.
Jesus
and this is going to be the cover.
That's going to be the thumbnail. Yes,
I can't get over that. It's 50 Shades of Grey.
We're going to do a whole episode on Mike Lambo's Love Dungeon.
It's the fisting book.
I'm still having trouble finding a 9-sided die.
What the hell does that mean? I don't get it.
For the D69.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, nobody, even Dungeon Crawl Classics doesn't have a D9, so good luck.
You know, it's like, did you know that Lenin's grave was a communist plot?
Yes, I've heard that. I've heard that.
You know, that's what he just pulled. He just pulled and the guy's a lawyer. He's smart, and he comes up with moronic things like this. Who's smarter, me, a glorified dishwasher, or a hell of a lawyer like this guy?
Or is Mike Lambo actually the nom de guerre of Carl Parody? Is what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
now,
I think so.
No, Carl is too
He's been exploring this space.
Yeah,
Carl
he's been exploring.
I think it's an anagram. Somebody work it out.
Maybe that makes perfect sense.
Maybe it is Sylvester Stallone. Rambo, for God's sakes.
Right.
Jesus Christ, man. At least pretend to have a good time.
I'm having a great time. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. Thank God Kilroy's here.
So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know there were this many of these things even available. So that, shows what I know. I was aware of the Worthington ones, and I was aware of Mike Lambo ones, and I was vaguely sort of half aware that Minden Games was still around doing this kind of thing. But there's apparently a whole bunch of other ones that I had no idea about. So apparently There's a Mike Lambo YouTube channel. But we have still never seen Mike Lambo and Carl Parody in the same place at the same time.
I'm telling you, Carl is too proud.
They look
He's
very
a
similar.
That's proud.
Except Mike Lambo has glasses. That's the only.
Well, we don't know. All I see is his bloody hands.
And if he has a British accent, the Adam Mitchell is in the UK as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically a British invasion here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that.
I don't know about nice and pretty, but you could still go visit it. I can tell you that. I looked into this not that long ago for some reason. I don't know why. That's a lot. That's way more than I got. So
I got more games than that, and I don't even play them.
I got too much stuff. I need to get rid of some stuff. So
I mean, I got games like this, man. Look. Hey, Bobby, I bet you don't have this game. You don't have this game, Bobby. How much you want to bet? Let's bet.
Oh, I don't have everything, so.
That's not what you told me yesterday.
What is that?
Magnetic Baseball?
No, I don't have that game.
Ah!
This came up on Twitter the other day, actually, and maybe we should do an episode on this. But if so, we're going to need another guest of sports games, right? Remember when sports board games were a whole big thing? Avalon Hill had a whole Sports Illustrated line of games from everything. Yeah, everything from baseball, football, hockey, basketball, bowling.
Those are big sellers, man.
Yeah, boxing. Yeah. They had a boxing game, all kinds of racing. Stuff. Yeah, they still run tournaments of some of that shit at WBC. Somebody did. There was a title bout tournament that one of our local guys was in a couple of years ago.
Title bout is a great game. That's an awesome game. So, I still play that.
I remember that. And you know what? We should get Todd McFarlane on. I mean, that guy's hyper, man. I mean, if you think I'm hyper, but we should get Todd McFarlane. He's Canadian. He's sorry all the time.
Isn't Todd a gamer?
Yeah, he's a huge gamer. He was on with Fred Serval.
Yeah, I was going to say. I thought that's what I thought.
And the thing is, Freddie emailed me before he had Todd McFarlane and basically said, "Hey Dan, fuck you." And I was like, "What?" And then I saw Todd McFarlane. I said, "How the hell did he get this guy?" Anyways, did I just say "fuck you"?
You might have, but we're on your channel, so we can get demonetized all you want.
We're demonetized.
I don't think they heard you, Dan.
So
I'm not going to say.
I think you ought to moon the camera too, just for good measure. So
hold on. John Longshore says, "Ick, no sports game." John, come on.
Oh, and
come on, John.
And what's his name? The hardcore Dan Carlin, the Hardcore Histories of Wargamer too. So, or at least used to be.
Who?
Dan Carlin, the Hardcore.
Oh, Dan Carlin, he's a gamer.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
he did a whole episode on it.
Well, I know what's his face. The pitcher there. What's the pitcher's name? The Republican.
Oh, Kurt Schilling. Yeah. We all know about him. Supposedly, I don't know anything about this, but supposedly the now deceased member of Three Dog Night was a wargamer too, and used to show up.
I heard that.
I don't know any details about that at all. So,
my pizza delivery guy's a wargamer.
Really?
Yeah, man. He actually fought in the if I'm not mistaken, in the 70, it was a 73 war and the Golan Heights.
Really? Okay. So he's
was it 73?
You got the world's oldest pizza delivery guy, apparently.
Well, he's 70 years old, man.
Okay,
70,
well,
71.
then there you go. Okay.
No, could it be? Is this timing right? Is this guy bullshitting me or what?
No, I mean, that sounds possible, I guess. Just rather old to be delivering pizzas.
Hey, look, man, I wash dishes.
Well, I'm not trying to judge here.
What the hell's the matter with that?
So it's not the dumbest thing I've heard all day, that's for sure.
You know
that's
what?
The emu war in Australia is what Trevor's talking about.
You know,
the
when
emo war is something that happened at Danstown about 20 years ago.
You know, Trevor, you see this, Trevor, when I see you.
ID Jester does sports games coverage.
Yes, he does.
So if somebody was to ask me, hey, what YouTube channel should I go to for sports games, I'd point him to Jester's channel because he's the only one I'm subscribed to that does sports games.
Did you ever play sports games?
I played Status Pro football and Status Pro baseball.
Okay.
Neither. I didn't play either one like a ton, but I played both of them. It actually had fun, especially with the football one.
Is this a diss? Is this a diss?
Not for you, Dan. John is dissing himself.
Jesus Christ, John! I swear to God. I swear to God. Anyways, look, our time is up, Artie. Do the whole get lost, everybody, people.
All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for watching. Please thumbs up the video. Please subscribe to the channels and all that other jazz. And don't forget KilRoy's channel as well. It is very good, and there's all kinds of hot Mike Rambo action.
And coffee. Don't forget coffee.
And there's coffee. If you're into coffee, he's your guy.
I'm trying to